1580, and we've got your black.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of this program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavisSmileyShow.com. That's thetavisSmileyShow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, a conversation with Rohit Chopra, former director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, on why the Trump administration shuttered the Consumer Watchdog Agency and who benefits most from its closure. Care to guess? Anyone? Bueller? All right. We'll talk in the second hour about why Trump just closed it down and who benefits most from the closure, the shuttering of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. We'll talk to Rohit Chopra, fired by Donald Trump as the former director of that watchdog agency. That's second hour. In our third hour.
My name is D-Nice. My name is D-Nice. My name is D-Nice. Taking out your suckers and you don't know how I did it. Yo, this is D-Nice. And I'm about to drop some funky lyrics on this track I made up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and you don't stop. Yo, my name is D-Nice, although I hate to admit it. Taking out your suckers and you don't know how I did it.
It's legendary DJ D-Nice celebrating the 5th anniversary of Club Quarantine. I can't believe that. 5 years already since the pandemic and his bringing online Club Quarantine. And I mean everybody was checking out Club Quarantine. And we'll talk with D-Nice, who's coming live in studio today in our third hour to discuss the power of music in the midst of tragedy and uncertainty. Should be a great third hour with D-Nice here on Tavis Smiley. Let's commence today's show, though, talking politics and more with one of my favorite guests, and I do mean that. I said that yesterday, in fact. Our guest in our first hour, was that third hour yesterday? Our guest in our third hour yesterday has a new book out. Talking to some powerful black women. And it just so happens that Ashley Woodard Henderson is one of the 45 women that is featured in the book that we had a conversation about on this program yesterday. Wasn't planned that way, but as it turns out, here she is today in real time. Movement organizer and longtime strategist Ashley Woodard Henderson. Ashley, good to have you on. How are you today?
It's fantastic to be back. Thanks for having me.
So your girl Vanessa was here yesterday with that amazing book, and we had a fascinating conversation about why and how and what the benefit would be of us if we stopped ignoring the leadership that women of color bring to the table. It was fascinating for me to engage her in dialogue, and I just loved the way you contributed to that text yesterday.
I mean, first of all, I would follow Vanessa Daniel just about anywhere, and having had the opportunity to read Unrig the Game, What Women of Color Can Teach Everyone About Winning, I can promise you it is the roadmap to how not only will overthrow and undo the damage that this fascist authoritarian government is doing, but also build the movement of our dreams that can sustain democracy for our people. So I'm so excited about that book, and I'm really honored to be featured in it.
As you heard Ashley mention, the book is called Unrig the Game, Unrig the Game, and by Vanessa Priya Daniel. Unrig the Game. It's a powerful book, and I highly recommend it. In case you missed our conversation yesterday, check out our podcast for that amazing dialogue with Vanessa on this program yesterday. Speaking of yesterday, so let me just set this up. When we come forward, I'll cut Ashley loose for the rest of the hour. When I was last in this chair 24 hours ago, all kind of hell was breaking loose regarding Donald Trump and the judiciary. Just to remind you very quickly where I left you yesterday, Donald Trump's deportation guy, his mass deportation guy, put it another way, Tom Homan, had said that we don't care what these judges think. We are moving forward. We will not stop. We're going to keep making these flights every day. There's going to be another plane tomorrow and another plane the next day. We are not stopping. Quote, we don't care what these judges think. That was Tom Homan. And then Donald Trump's press secretary, Ms. Leavitt, said that this judge has no lawful basis. Those are her phrase. That's her phrase. No lawful basis in telling Donald Trump what to do regarding these deportations. Not to be outdone, then the president himself stepped up. And on his True social media platform, he called for the impeachment of the judge in this case. Called him a whole bunch of names, and I do mean a lot of names, but said he ought to be impeached. And at that point, John Roberts, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, had enough. And in a very, very, very rare moment, the Chief Justice comes out and makes a public statement pushing back on Donald Trump, although not by name, but pushing back on Donald Trump, saying, now you've essentially gone too far. Impeaching judges is not what we do in this country, particularly when there are decisions they make that we just happen not to agree with. There's a process for that. It's called the appeal process. You don't like a decision, then you appeal it. He goes on to say, and I'm paraphrasing, there are no Obama judges. There are no Bush judges. There are no Clinton judges. There are no Biden judges. There are no Trump judges. They're just judges trying to do their job. Ain't nobody buying that nonsense, with all due respect to the Chief Justice. We know, because the first question we always ask when a decision comes out, who appointed him? Who appointed her? So that dog just won't hunt, as I said yesterday. But I understand the frame the Chief Justice is in, trying to push back on Donald Trump. And a lot of folk were just taken aback by that, because here's a conservative court that Donald Trump has had an outsized impact on the person sitting on that court, those 9 justices. And here comes John Roberts pushing back publicly on Donald Trump, calling for the impeachment of a judge yesterday. Well, that was yesterday. That was Tuesday. So today's Wednesday, right? And the Justice Department, literally just a little while ago, is pushing back publicly once again against this federal judge's request for more information about these deportation flights. Let me just read just very quickly here what they have said to this judge. Continuing to beat a dead horse solely for the sake of prying from the government legally immaterial facts and wholly within a sphere of core functions of the executive branch is both purposeless and frustrating to the consideration of the actual legal issues at stake in this case, close quote. That is a filing from the Department of Justice. This is supposed to be an independent department, but that's what they just wrote and what they filed with the court literally moments ago. I'll break that down when we come forward. I ain't a lawyer. Many of you may not be lawyers. You don't have to be to understand this paragraph. But let's start picking this paragraph apart. What they said to the judge today, we'll jump from there with so many other things to cover in this hour. Delighted to have Ashley Woodard Henderson right now on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
Slow it down and get it going slower.
eye Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacin-capted Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Ashley Woodard Henderson to get this party started today. I was thinking just a moment ago when I said that I am not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. But one doesn't need to be to understand exactly what the government is telling Judge James Boasberg in this case. I was thinking about the late, great Vernon Jordan, who, as you know, at one point was head of the National Urban League. Long time and brilliant consigliere to Bill Clinton and many other people. I miss Vernon Jordan dearly. But Vernon Jordan wrote a memoir, as you may recall, called Vernon Can Read. That was the name of his book, Vernon Can Read. Tavis can read. I'm not a lawyer, but Tavis can read. And I want to read once again this statement to you, and I'll again let Ashley go in on how bizarre this is. And bizarre is not even the right word, I guess. It's just we've never been, we keep saying this, we've never been in this kind of territory. We've never been in a moment like this. But for the government, the executive branch, the Justice Department to be giving the middle finger to a judge, it's just something we have never quite seen before. So I quote again from the government in their filing today, just moments ago. Continuing to beat a dead horse, stop. It's not a dead horse until the court says it's a dead horse. You don't decide that. I wish that Negroes could tell a judge, you're beating a dead horse.
Man.
I wish that we had the power and the authority to walk into court and say, you're beating a dead horse, Your Honor.
Indeed.
But the Department of Justice is telling a judge he's beating a dead horse. Let's go further. Solely for the sake of prying from the government. Prying from the government? I want you, when I read this, as I read this, I want you to think about a black person, an American Negro walking into a court and being able to utter this phrase. One, judge, you're beating a dead horse. Two, you're doing it solely for the sake of prying from me. You're prying from me. Okay. Prying from the government. Legally immaterial facts. What you want from me, judge, ain't even material. I'm not providing it. It is not legally material. And wholly within a sphere of core functions of the executive branch. Hold the phone. There are three branches of government: executive, judicial, and legislative. The legislative branch is trying, the judicial branch rather, is trying to do its job here. So it's not ever wholly within the sphere of the executive branch. Nothing is. And then they say it is both purposeless and frustrating. I wish, Ashley, I could go to court and tell the judge that what you're doing is purposeless and is frustrating for me.
We would live in a very different world, my friend, if we were able to do that and live to tell the tale.
Yeah, but this is what the Department of Justice is saying today. So this saga continues of Donald Trump again just thumbing his nose, and not just Trump now, but his Department of Justice, I repeat, allegedly an independent arm of government telling the court that you're frustrating us. This is purposeless. You're beating a dead horse. You're prying into our business. This is the function of the executive branch, and these facts are legally immaterial. I digress. I yield to Ashley Wood Henderson, but we've never, ever been in a moment quite like this. Ashley, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I'll meet your quote with a quote from some of our Broadway friends' favorite character over the last several years, Alexander Hamilton, who said, the judiciary is the least dangerous branch because it has no influence over either the sword or the purse and possesses neither force nor will, I'll repeat, nor will, but merely judgment, right? So if we were waiting on the courts to save us, we were going to be in trouble anyway. But I think it's important to break down what the challenges are, right? So you all know this, but just to give clarity, the Supreme Court only hears cases with conflicting appeals court decisions or things that are exceptionally important in the legal realm, or when a lower court invalidates a federal law or policy, right? So if a lower court says that the law no longer works and there's a contestation about that, it goes to the Supreme Court. So, litigants are like strategically choosing which courts based on which judge has been appointed, what partisan leanings they have that boost their chances of success.
That's right. That's right.
Movement lawyers pick courts where judges tend to actually care about democracy, and conservatives, the MAGA or the right-wing folks, tend to choose courts that had Trump appointees that actually are trying to show that government cannot work and who believe in minority rule over the majority of us. This becomes a problem when one of the parties and its judges have turned against representative democracy and fundamental constitutional limits, which is exactly where we are right now. So when Trump gets into office again and starts signing all of these executive orders like the citizenship stripping order or the transgender ban, they are deliberately designed to destroy the democratic order. And these orders, though there are numerous lawsuits that have been created because of them, doesn't mean that we can count on the courts to save us. They in fact will not be. We are in a constitutional crisis, if not very close to it, because the Supreme Court relies on the executive branch to enforce its decisions. Well, what do you mean, Ashley? I'm glad you asked, Tavis. So let's say the Supreme Court does decide that the things that Donald Trump is doing are unconstitutional. Well, then what is the functional next step? Because, again, the judiciary does not enforce its decisions. The executive branch does, and who is in charge of the executive branch? It's technically President Musk and the Kennedy Center president, Donald Trump, right? Mm-hmm. So this system is held in the past because presidents respected constitutional checks and balances enough to comply with Supreme Court decisions. But today we have a president who has declared himself king and a vice president who has advocated for defying courts that get in the way of Donald Trump's plans. The irony is that this is, in fact, the Roberts Court. So that also adds to the irony to your point. It's like to hear Judge Roberts actually trying to have a backbone around the Department of Justice when actually it's his rulings that have allowed unlimited spending to influence these elections.
Yeah, that's right.
He is the reason that the 14th Amendment insurrection clause was undermined. He is, in fact, the reason that Trump has been made immune from prosecution. So, I could leave you there, but actually I don't want to, because if I left you there, you would assume that the courts aren't saving us. Schumer and Jeffries are bending at the will of the Republicans and have chosen not to be an opposition party to these fascists and authoritarians. It can make you feel really powerless. But in fact, we actually can do something about it by protecting ourselves and ultimately fighting to survive in this country that we found ourselves in, right? We could be mobilizing our communities. We could be attending their town halls and demanding our elected officials stand up for our people and be the opposition to this MAGA autocracy. We could be organizing in preparation for elections that are happening starting right now, right? There are at least 3 special elections happening in this country before the end of the year. We could be participating in demanding that candidates stand against MAGA. And so I still feel, I know I said this last time I was with you, but I still feel optimistic because though the systems that we have inherited that were supposed to be the bastions of democracy are crumbling, it in fact gives us an opportunity, as our dear beloved ancestor Vincent Harding said, to be the midwives of the new America that still needs to be born.
Yeah, that's a great phrase. I just the mention of Vincent Harding, that we are the midwives of this democracy that is really yet to be born. Vincent Harding, brilliant thinker, theologian, friend of Martin. He's the one who actually wrote the Beyond Vietnam speech. You often hear me reference Dr. King giving that speech. He gave that assignment to his lawyer, Clarence Jones, and Clarence Jones came back with a copy. They essentially said, on the one hand this, on the other hand this, on the one hand, on the other hand. And Martin said, Clarence, take a side, man. You know what I'm trying to say here. He fired Clarence Jones from writing the speech, asked Vincent Harding to do it, and what you get is Beyond Vietnam, one of the boldest, most courageous speeches Martin King ever gave. It was that speech, April 4, 1967, at the Riverside Church in Manhattan, the West Side, Upper West Side. They put a bullet on his back, a target, I should say, on his back, and that bullet chased him for a year until literally 1 year the day later, April 4, 1968. They gunned Martin down on that balcony in Memphis, but it was that speech Beyond Vietnam where he said to America, you, America, are the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today. They could not stand when Vincent Harding wrote those words and Dr. King uttered them at the Riverside Church, and it was on and popping. And a year later, they tracked him down in Memphis and killed him. So Vincent Harding, I'm just so delighted to hear Ashley raise the name of our late, great, dear brother, Vincent Harding. You said a few things I want to just go back and dig up a little, unearth just a little bit. First of all, I want to just say amen to the point you made a moment ago. I was waiting to get there, and you jumped ahead of me, and that's fine with me. But what cracks me up about John Roberts' statement yesterday, and I wanted to wait till today to get to it to see what kind of response Donald Trump was going to have to what John Roberts said. But Ashley puts her finger on it, and I want you to be very clear about this. Even though we celebrate that John Roberts found a little bit of a spine yesterday and put out a statement pushing back on Donald Trump, that was a beautiful thing, something to celebrate, especially because it is a conservative court and because it is the Chief Justice. But Ashley's point is spot on, that nothing else seemed to matter to John Roberts. Your rights and my rights and the rights of all the persons that Ashley mentioned a moment ago. And it's a long list. If we had the time, we could run through it. But the rights of every one of us, all the rest of us fellow citizens, mattered not to John Roberts. But yesterday, when Donald Trump comes after his branch of government and starts talking about impeaching his judges, infringing on their rights and their rule, let's just call it what it is, their rights and their rule, R-U-L-E, all of a sudden it matters enough to him to make the rare move of putting out a statement. But nobody else's rights matter to you. You have been part of the conservative majority that has stripped away rights from everybody else. It's the same John Roberts that wanted to do away and did away with affirmative action programs. Just run the list. I don't need to augment what Ashley just said. The same John Roberts. Now, all of a sudden, when Donald Trump comes after you and your cohort, now you want to find some spine, find a backbone, and make a public statement. I digress on that for now. I just wanted to underscore the brilliance of the point that Ashley just made. This is the same John Roberts. I digress on that for now. Let me just ask you right quick how you think Donald Trump is doing. I love your phrase. What Donald Trump is doing is designed to destroy democratic order. That's what it is. We can talk about these issues all day long. I told y'all the same thing yesterday. This is about pushing back on free speech. It's about pushing back on dissent. We get caught up in the issues, and we should. But understand what the modus operandi is here. It's designed, this effort by Trump, to destroy democratic order. In the 2 minutes I have now, we'll continue when we come forward. How do you think Donald Trump is doing in his design to destroy democratic order? Ashley Woodard-Henderson.
I think he's doing a great job. I think he is doing exactly what he said he would do. He's doing exactly what myself and you and other folks that you've had on the show over the last 12 months have said MAGA is planning to do in their first 100 days and their first year. in a new administration. They are exercising their power. They have thrown out the rule book, and they are executing Project 2025 to the best of their ability. But I'll also say, though, is that hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of folks in this country are resisting it with every single thing we've got. And I don't just mean like, the professional activists and paid organizer class folks, though I love those folks and I am one of those folks. I mean grassroots folks. I'm talking about the 60-year-old black woman that Doge came for her job and she fought and she got it back, right? And she said, you're not going to take me out of serving my community by being a public servant. I'm talking about the regular, everyday folks on the ground who are fighting for Social Security and for Medicaid and Medicare. I'm talking about regular folks who have said, you do not get to decide what I do with my body. You do not get to hamper my ability to put resources into my wallet. You don't get to abuse my personal data. You do not get to steal public land. You do not get to cut veteran service or cancer research. You do not get to take us out of data without a consequence. You don't get to poison our air and water. You don't get to destroy our schools and libraries. You don't get to eliminate free speech and attack LGBTQ plus folks and immigrants and our courts and other things. Like, there are people uprising all over this country and internationally in solidarity with us. And we don't see that in most of the press. And so I don't want you to be disdained. It might be true that Donald Trump is successfully raising hell all over D.C., but what's real is his ability to do that with impunity and without consequence has been hampered because our people are resisting. In fact, Erica Chenoweth said that folks have turned up from the time that he became president to February. It's been at least twice to three times more folks in the street than it was his first administrative intervention. So we're out here, and we should know that that's actually having an impact.
Yeah, God works in mysterious ways. I'm starting to think more and more every day that this may be exactly what we needed. Donald Trump may be exactly what we needed to remind every one of us who cares about this experiment in democracy that we have exercise. We have agency, rather. We have agency, and we need to exercise it. You heard Ashley a moment ago suggest that Democrats are not acting like an opposition party. They are the other party, but they're not acting like an opposition party. My read of this moment is that Democrats and this internal battle we've been talking about vis-a-vis Chuck Schumer, et cetera, isn't really about ideology as much as it is about how hard to fight against Trump. How hard are we going to fight against Trump? What's our strategy going to be to fight against Trump? Not so much about ideology, but about the strategy of the fight. Let's talk about that part when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
I'm Alexandria Ikamoni with 4 things you should know from BIN News. More than 3 million people, including many black people, are under blizzard warnings across the central U.S. A powerful winter weather system is blasting heavy snow and high winds from the central plains to the upper Midwest. The classified files of the John F. Kennedy assassination are finally being made public for black people to view. The former president was assassinated in Dallas in 1963, though conspiracy theories by black people and other races have continued to circulate about the shooting ever since. Black basketball fans are excited that March Madness is underway in Dayton, Ohio. Alabama State and North Carolina made it to the first 4 of the NCAA men's basketball tournament last night. New York City's LaGuardia Airport is being called the best airport in the nation. New York's Port Authority accepted the award from Forbes Travel Guide. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Running out of hot water? Water Heaters Only makes replacing your water heater easy. With one call and great pricing, Water Heaters Only can have you back in hot water the same day, within hours of your call. Visit waterheatersonly.com. That's waterheatersonly.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers had a belief game last night. The kind of game where the players believe they can beat anybody when they play like they did against the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Clippers beat the team with the NBA's best record, 132-119 at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. 4 straight wins for the Clippers. A game-high 33 points from Kawhi Leonard. Ivica Zubac had 28 points and 20 rebounds. The stat of the night comes from Clippers guard Bogdan Bogdanović. He was 8 for 8 from the floor, including 4 for 4 on 3-pointers. He finished with 20 points and 7 assists off the bench. The Alabama State men's basketball team won an NCAA tournament game for the first time in school history. A last-second layup by Amar Knox lifted the HBCU school to a 70-68 win over St. Francis of Pennsylvania. Alabama State advances to play Auburn, the number 1 seed in the South Regional, on Friday. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
On January 7th, 2025, the Eaton Canyon Fire scorched Altadena, torching everything in its path. Homes, wealth, and legacy burned in one night. But will Altadena rise from the ashes? I'm James Farr. On the Conversation Live Altadena Rising, we're chronicling the recovery, the resilience, and justice for the nation. This is the show of record. Unapologetically progressive. We're not blacking down. So join me, James Farr, on the Conversation Live Altadena Rising every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific with the rebroadcast on Sunday at noon.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Stories are power. The Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project is an effort to collect, preserve, and amplify stories of Black land loss. It will form an invaluable resource for scholars, authors, historians, educators, storytellers, policymakers, and change agents who wrestle with issues of restitution, reparations, racial inequality in home ownership, and the racial wealth gap. Through documenting stories of Black land loss, the archive will help demonstrate the magnitude of what Black families have lost and will continue the national dialogue to encourage paths to restitution, rebuilding, and healing. Support the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project by visiting www.blacklandlost.org or by donating at www.blacklandlost.org/donate. Spread the word to inspire awareness, activism, leadership, and change. And join us in making a lasting impact. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Ashley Woodard Henderson, strategist, movement organizer. Delighted to be in conversation as always with Ashley, always making me think and challenging me to re-examine my own assumptions, expand my inventory of ideas. Thrilled to be once again in dialogue, in public dialogue, with our friend Ashley Woodard Henderson. So you said a moment ago, and I want to come back to this, I thought I heard something there that I should probe, this notion that Democrats are not really acting like an opposition party. You heard me say a moment ago that as I'm watching this every day, sitting in this chair every day, covering this every day, this internal battle that Democrats have right now, I'm not so sure it's as much about ideology as it is about how to fight Donald Trump. Take any of that any way you want to take it, Ashley.
Sure. I mean, I think your listeners in particular know more than most about the setup that is the two-party system. I also think we're politically astute enough to understand that the Democrats might consider themselves between a rock and a hard place, particularly as it related to the budget decision that Congress is having to navigate about whether or not the Democrats should have allowed for the government shutdown. Now, what Schumer's going to tell you is that if he had allowed the government to shut down and not been looking forward at the crisis that it would create, that Donald Trump would have actually been able to consolidate his power and wealth, quite frankly, even quicker, because he would be the person that was running everything in the absence of government workers to the tune of thousands and thousands and thousands of people that actually should have been running the government. He would be able to consolidate his power and effectively just cut the services that he does not deem essential, right? So he could say, Social Security programs, not necessary. We're going to cut that. Your SNAP benefits, whatever, that's a waste of money. We're going to cut that. And though Schumer may be correct, the question still becomes, why is Hakeem Jeffries refusing to actually stand up a party that actually will fight the MAGA authoritarian and fascist regime? Why is it that Democrats are voting for the censure of the one brother that had the gall to actually stand up and show some backbone during the State of the Union, right? Like, there are just things that they are conceding before there's even a real fight. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
yeah.
so I think that our people feel that, but even before Donald Trump became president, right, part of how we got here is that while we're trying to build power for Black people, for all struggling and suffering people in this country and abroad, the Democrats are having an identity crisis. They are having a crisis of strategy. They are having a crisis of what tactical interventions should be made. And quite frankly, the progressives who have been running on the Democratic Party ticket, usually in relationship to other parties like the Working Families Party, which I'm a proud dues-paying member of, folks like Latifah Simon in California, for example, are out here making waves out of no ways and really putting their own lives on the line to stand in accountability with their constituency. And so I think this is a time of great opportunity for those of us that have no more faith in the two-party system to actually stand up and save ourselves. And together, we can actually make the future and build a country where everyone can thrive, that's rooted in making sure that working families are taken care of first. And so while right now we have both a Republican and Democratic Party that's basically being driven by billionaires, and I really do mean both parties are being manipulated by the richest people on earth and the political insiders who serve them, who are rigging the game of our economy and democracy to consolidate their own wealth and power. It's our turn to build up community services for our people, to organize into unions, to organize across race and stop this blame game of allowing them to tell us that the reason that this country is in the state that it's in is because of poor people or rural people or people of different races or from different places. That is a farce that we do not believe. It is a lie from the pits of hell. We are going to build the people power required, actually see regular people coming together across our differences to make a better future for all of us. And not get manipulated by this essentially landlord that Donald Trump is, this billionaire oligarchy that he's building.
Let me take it one step further. I said on this program some days ago, this is before his 180 last Friday that you referenced a moment ago, suggesting that he would support this Republican measure to fund the government so they would not shut down. I said before that, long before that, that I don't think Chuck Schumer is the answer to the prayer. He is not the answer 100%. To the prayer. This is just not the moment for Charles Schumer out of New York. I said right behind that, I'm still praying on this. I'm not so sure I believe, I said weeks ago, that Hakeem Jeffries is the right person at this moment either. I went slowly on that because I'm going to admit to being somewhat tribal. He is a brother. And in my case, he's a fraternity brother. So right. I really stepped out there. But every day I look at this, I'm not so sure that Schumer or Jeffries are the right people for this particular moment. It pains me to say that, Ashley, but I'm coming to that conclusion more and more every day.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it turns out that even people who we love, who look and live like us, sometimes can cave too. And I think that's what we've seen. And we need political leadership with a backbone that actually makes space for resistance, right? It's like, I need a leader that trusts that if they stand up, I'm going to flank them. I need a leader that will flank me by actually using the power that we gave them, right? It's people like us that elected folks like Jeffries, that elected folks like Chuck Schumer, expecting that when this happened, they would actually leave. And leadership is uncomfortable. It does mean making hard decisions. You know, I don't envy them their positions. However, I also don't feel sorry for them that they have to make hard decisions when they've chosen this career path. And what they're deciding is to take cop-outs, quite frankly, for the sake of them being more politically comfortable at the expense of working people, at the expense of Black people, at the expense of our elders who are losing access to health care. It is absurd and ridiculous. And so, as much as, I would drink a beer with Hakeem Jeffries, he should not be leading this government.
Wow. This phrase used a moment ago, which I think is apropos, that Democrats are wrestling with an identity crisis. We've talked here, you've talked here about what the impact of that search is, the impact of them being so lost on who they are, who they want to be when they grow up. We're clear on the impact you've laid out of how we suffer as a result of that. I can put it that way. But what's your sense of whether or not they ever figure out this identity crisis?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only way they even have a chance of figuring out is if they have a viable opposition, right? It's like the only backbone that the Democrats will ever get in actually landing their identity is if we build the working families party of our dreams and actually give them something to contest with that is not to the right, is not to the right of our morals, is not to the right of our values, is not to the right of our political leaning, that is actually rooted in our values, the things that we know we deserve, like higher wages, like a fair criminal justice system, like getting money out of politics. We actually putting a line in the sand that if they are not going to actually implement policies and fight for a government that reflects our desires for an inclusive and representative democracy, if they're not going to do it, we'll do it ourselves. And I promise you that when we do, they will have to move. They will either continue to be in this identity crisis and hemorrhaging members by the thousands, or they will actually get in line and implement policies that are good for the will of the people.
So I am with you that something needs to happen for them to stop the hemorrhaging. No question about that. And yet you and I both know, which we'll unpack in a moment when we come forward, every time somebody raises this notion of contestation, this notion of contesting the Democratic Party from their left, every time that issue comes up, you know the response. I don't care if it's Cornel West, Dr. West, or Jill Stein, or Bernie Sanders, or just run the list. Every time there's a conversation about contestation, we know the refrain that we hear. When you do that, you give it to the other guy. When you do that, you make it possible for Trump 2.0 and 3.0 and 4.0. You know the argument. You know what we hear when we raise the issue of contesting the Democratic Party. Let's talk about that part with Ashley when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
The revolution will not be televised.
What's up? It is Killer Mike, also known as Michael Render, and I'm encouraging you to listen to more, not less, of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Senator Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Think about your mentors and idols, the people who inspire you the most. While it may look like they have all the answers, they don't. But they do know when to ask questions and seek the support they need. In a world that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better with a support system. Therapy is a great way to find a consistent source of support in your life, so you can break free from the outdated belief that seeking help is a sign of weakness. BetterHelp has experienced therapists ready to help you with challenges ranging from anxiety and depression to relationships and stress. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. You can even send your therapist a message anytime something comes up. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABCRadio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABCRadio.
Made fresh daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Ashley Woodard Henderson. Before I let Ashley respond to the question about how we respond, those of us on the left, those of us who are true progressives, how we respond to the constant refrain that we are enabling Trump 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 when we talk about contestation for the Democratic Party, even though it is having a serious identity crisis in this moment. And to that point, just some quick data, 2 polls of late that you should be aware of. An NBC News poll has found that 27% of registered voters say they view the party favorably, the Democratic Party. 27% of registered voters say they view the party favorably, but it is the lowest favorability rating for Democrats in NBC polls going all the way back to 1990. Only 7% of survey respondents say they have a very positive view of the party. Lowest numbers for the Democratic Party in terms of favorability since 1990. Another poll, if you don't want to buy NBC News, here's more data. CNN did a poll and found similarly that 29% of voters view Democrats in a positive light. It's the lowest in CNN's polling going back to 1992. So these intra-party rifts and this frustration that's consuming Democrats is having an impact. But what say you then, Ashley, about how we respond to the response we get when we talk about contesting the Democratic Party from the left?
Yeah, I think multiple things. One is, of course, I would see the Democrats in a more favorable light if the comparison is between, a center-right party and a fascist. That's the devil we know. But I think to the point of the question, I know that folks have big feelings about what it means to actually contest for a representative democracy, which I promise you, we don't have a representative democracy if we only have choices between a party that is everybody from Cheney to Chomsky and a party that is being led by a MAGA authoritarian fascist faction, right? But those are the only 2 options. My life and my family and my neighborhood is not represented by either of those, right? Mm-hmm. So we just offer that's not democracy. And then 2, I know everybody wants to throw Jill Stein's name around, but actually even by November 6th of 2024, which was, of course, the day after the election, there was evidence that Jill Stein actually made no difference in the electoral outcome of Michigan, Wisconsin,
That's
Pennsylvania,
true.
or Muslims for Trump, or Arizona, Pennsylvania, et cetera. So we just know that is a red herring argument. Mm-hmm. But beyond, and shout out to folks that had made the sacrifices, Brother Cornell, Jill, others. However, I think there's a difference between showing up to run in a presidential election and building independent political power for the long term. Party building is a generational project, right? And the Working Families Party, in my opinion, is a lot different than some of the other interventions because they have been building for 26 years, because we see them in our communities beyond just the presidential election. They are winning seats. You can actually go on their website, click the Our Candidates button, and see all of the folks who have run and won and are representing their communities through the Working Families Party. And the particular thing that I want to lift up, because again, I'm actually fine if many of us build successful parties, if it makes a representative democracy. But I want to throw out that for folks that particularly get hung up on what it means to potentially contest for power against the Democrats, that what WFP has actually been leaning into is a thing called fusion voting, which is where candidates can appear on the ballot under more than just one political party, right? So, for example, if you live in New York, where Working Families Party is on the ballot, you could actually see that AOC is both on the WFP line and on the Democratic Party line. And so instead of having to hold your nose and vote for a Democrat, you could actually vote for that same candidate, but on the Working Families Party line. And that not only shows us how much power we have beyond the Democratic Party, if we were to not get as much of the vote as the Democrats did, it actually shows us where we need to grow, right?
Hold that thought, Nancy. I got to do this right quick. I want to pick up on that note, where we need to grow. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
I'll give the last 2.5, 3 minutes to Ashley in just a second here. I'm told that a few of you called asking for the name of this book that Ashley and I both referenced earlier in this hour. The book is called Unrig the Game, What Women of Color Can Teach Everyone About Winning. Unrig the Game, What Women of Color Can Teach Everyone About Winning. A great conversation with the author of that book, Vanessa Priya Daniel, yesterday on this program. Check out the podcast in case you missed it. But for those who are asking about the name of that text, it features Ashley Woodard Henderson. Once again, it's called Unrig the Game, What Women of Color Can Teach Everyone About Winning. I've got 2.5 minutes. Ashley, it's all yours. When we last heard your voice, you were saying fusion voting shows us where we need to grow.
Absolutely. I mean, it gives us an opportunity to actually be in the electoral competition. It allows minority parties to have a meaningful way to influence politics and facilitate the creation of coalitions. And when we do that, we win. We've seen it over and over and over again. And so I'm excited about the many experiments that I feel like I've seen over the last 6 months in particular, but very specifically, I'm proud to pay dues to the Working Families Party because it's a party that's out here to win and is actually positioned and continuing to position itself as a party led by regular people who are willing to fight for power and be opposition to the MAGA forces that we're seeing in the Democrats that are sold to the billionaires. I think, folks are asking me every day, what is something that you can do? And there are many, many, many things that you can do in this season. One is, I would say, keep the faith. Know that you're not crazy, that what you're seeing is not normal, and this should not be happening to our people, and you actually exercising your power in the many, many ways that people are showing up is actually slowing down and mucking up the gears of MAGA's ability to solidify this fascist regime. Know that there is going to be turn-up mass mobilization on Saturday, April 5th. The hands-off team is actually going to be out all over the country. If you want more information about how you could join that turn-up, the hands-off turn-up, you could go to handsoff2025.com. It has all the information you need to know about hosting. If you just want to find an event near you, you can see it there on the website, and you can see all the partners, including the Working Families Party and Indivisible and all these incredible democracy-fighting organizations on that website as well.
Next time you're on, Ashley, I want to talk about I want to get your Afro-Latin take on black land laws. I'm preparing for a major conversation about that. There's a new project underway nationally that we're going to be talking to George Fatherby III about. He's the guy that got Bruce's Beach, got that land back for their family. So we're going to be talking in the coming days about black land laws. I know you have a unique take on that, so we'll do that next time you're on this program. But for now, I thank you. I appreciate you. I love you. There ain't nothing you can do about it. It's Ashley Woodard Henderson. Thank you, Ashley.
Love you much.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Alexandria Ikamoni with 4 things you should know from BIN News. More than 3 million people, including many black people, are under blizzard warnings across the central U.S. A powerful winter weather system is blasting heavy snow and high winds from the central plains to the upper Midwest. The classified files of the John F. Kennedy assassination are finally being made public for black people to view. The former president was assassinated in Dallas in 1963, though conspiracy theories by black people and other races have continued to circulate about the shooting ever since. Black basketball fans are excited that March Madness is underway in Dayton, Ohio. Alabama State and North Carolina made it to the first 4 of the NCAA men's basketball tournament last night. New York City's LaGuardia Airport is being called the best airport in the nation. New York's Port Authority accepted the award from Forbes Travel Guide. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Heaters Only makes replacing your water heater easy. With one call and great pricing, water